It's time now for County-Wide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Brad Miller as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives here in Yavapai County. And now, here's today's County-Wide.
Well, good day, everybody. I'm Brad Miller, and we welcome you to the show again. Welcoming back into studio a guest we've talked to a number of times over the years, but it's been a little while since Chief Jerry Dirksen has been here. Verde Valley Fire District Assistant Chief, and we say hello to you, sir.
Good morning. How you doing?
Doing good. Our listeners will recall we chatted with you a little bit last week, and we'll talk a lot more today. And you called up and said, Brad, I got to tell you something. August, the month of August, is the highest for drownings in Arizona, and talking about children particularly.
Yeah, we got a notice from the Phoenix Children's Hospital and asking us to participate in their annual Drowning Impact Awareness Month. And Arizona is, of all the states, is the second highest in the number of drownings annually that happen. And of all the months, August is the highest month that they have for drownings, and probably related to the fact that school's coming back in. We've got new routines, it's like, oh man, did everybody get fed? Did you get dressed? Come on, you got to get up.
Yeah.
We've got to get everybody in the car. We've got to get ready to go. And most of the child drownings we have are like 1 to 4 years old. So,
take your eye off the little one.
Yeah, to take them off for a little bit, and the next thing you know, they're gone, and they're in something that's that they end up with a drowning. So that time when we need to be watching them the most because of the change, and that's why we want to do this drowning awareness, to be able to help people remember to watch
It's
kids.
funny, all the reasons you listed that why there are more drownings in August than any other time of year in our state are the same reasons I would have thought that it's not the case.
Right.
You take height of summer, before the monsoon, late June, early July, and certainly we've had incidents. You were telling me a moment ago that they put some ribbons in trees to represent child or drownings or near drownings incidents.
Yeah,
in our state. Tell me about that.
Yeah, when Phoenix Children's Hospital did the kickoff on August 1st, one of the things they did is they had a tree that we've got these purple ribbons that we're asking people to wear just to remind each other. And one of the things they did is they put a purple ribbon in the tree for every water-related incident. Now, it might not be that the person died from that, but
right.
It may have been that they drowned, but maybe they ended up going to the hospital because of a near drowning, or and ended up with some kind of a disability from that. They went ahead and started putting these ribbons in the trees. Since 2000, they ended up putting almost 1,500 ribbons in the trees.
That's incredible. Representing how many incidents
in Arizona?
Not just kids, but everybody.
Right.
And it's so strange. We were chatting, Paul and I, in our news. We see it a lot, and in fact, almost so much. And not just children, but adults. Lake Powell's had a number of incidents this year. A baby drowned in a bathtub in the Phoenix Valley just last week or 2 weeks ago. That they almost become routine, and you start to not think about them so much. You mentioned something else before the show I want to share with the listeners. You mentioned just a second ago the 1 to 4 year olds. They can find mischief very, very quickly. Adolescent boys are the number 2 group.
Yeah, adolescent boys with lakes and streams, and you take a look at, summertime hits. Where are they around here? Do we have any ledges to jump off of? Oh yeah, we've got the streams. We've got Oak Creek. We've got Clear Creek. We've got different things, and then also lakes as well too.
That's interesting because you mentioned. I think a lot of times when we hear, especially with kids, and I know that you want that to be the focus today, child drownings. We think about Phoenix because they have more people, more kids, more pools. But then you just said canals, lakes, and around here we've got Oak Creek, we've got the Verde River, we've got all kinds of waterways, and youngsters can find those. And even if it's a family outing, there's a high risk just because of the hullabaloo, if you will, a big picnic, a lot of activity, a lot going on. It's so easy to take your eyes off the kids around water or anything else.
Yeah, that's so true. And when we think we're more of a rural community, so not everybody has pools, and we do take advantage of the river and of the canals that are here. You know, I was growing up, I remember playing in the canals. I remember my kids playing in the canals, and, you know, whatever they could find that was interesting in the water, they brought them near that. Watching them is real important. But we also have some other things that are there all the time. We just had a child, I think, down in Phoenix drown in a bathtub. And just, you know, when they're in that tub, just that short little bit of time can make all the difference between when they drown or don't drown. 5-gallon buckets, you know, on all the buckets now you see a picture of a child and saying, you know, don't leave water in those buckets. A toilet, leaving toilet seats up. You got a 2-year-old or a 1-year-old that's out running around, and they look and they can see water, and next thing you know they're reaching down to play in the water, and their head is larger than the rest of their body, and they get upended, and once they do, they cannot get back out.
They can't get themselves out. It's just a horrifying image to even have to picture.
Right.
But it's good that you talk about it, because these are just commonplace things that, you know, without a little one in the room, we talk about baby-proofing the house and safeguarding the house when you have kids. If grandma and grandpa don't have them there all the time, or guests and visitors and things like that, these dangers, these everyday things that don't pose a risk to a grown-up or even, you know, a bigger person, can be deadly and have proven to be.
Right.
So too many times, even once is too many. We talk about the babies in the bathtub, and I wonder if folks think that, and I don't mean to be gory about it, but that drowning is I mean, it can happen very, very quickly. It doesn't take much, does it, water to be ingested, especially for a little infant, to start the process that will become, you know, deadly.
In some of the calls that I've responded to and different things, I've been surprised at how small of a creek maybe that was going by that the kid got into and somehow got down and didn't have the coordination to be able to get up. The statistic that they give is that a child can drown in 2 inches of water.
2 inches of water.
So if you got 2 inches of water around someplace, there's a chance that, you know, a child could lose their life. And I think that one of the things that they talk about in research that I've done is that when we put fences around our pools, you know, we think, okay, we've done it and we're safe.
Safe, walk away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, and that causes us to drop our guard. And when we go to a neighbor's house or we go to another family member's house and everything, we start, you know, think about watching that kid. You cannot replace actual watching a child with a gate or a fence. Yeah. Some people that have worked real hard on getting laws passed to put gates and fences and barriers around pools. And they were at home and they were talking about how great it was to have that law and everything, and they had little kids, and they said, why don't you, let's just see if the kids can get in that pool. And they asked the kids, they said, can you get in the pool? You know, and these little 2-, 3-year-olds were there and everything, and they said, yeah. They said, okay, well, we're going to time you, go ahead. And they started grabbing chairs, and they started grabbing little tables, and this and that, and everything, stacked stuff up, and within less than a minute, they were inside that pool.
Oh.
and that goes to a lot of different things. So, you know, really watching, you know, I think one of our barriers that we have in rural Arizona is we have fences around our backyard so the kids can play in it. Mm-hmm. Can that kid open that gate? Yeah. Now, if he's seen you gone through it, he's going to figure out how to open it.
You bet.
If you got a child-proof doorknob thing that you can't get open, call a kid, because a lot of times they can get in there and open that up. And so
yeah, once they see it, if they can reach it, they can do it.
They start figuring it out.
Yeah. All right, we need to take a short break, so we'll do that. There's plenty more. I want you to talk, Chief, about secondary drowning when we come back. This is something I'd never heard of, and it is absolutely incredible. Fire Chief, Assistant Chief of the Verde Valley Fire District, Jerry Dirksen, is our guest. Child drownings in Arizona. It's a devastating month in August. We'll talk more when we come back to Countywide.
Having a fire escape plan is very important to keep your family safe and together in the event of a fire. When you awake to the sound of a smoke detector and smoke in your room, don't stand straight up. Carefully roll off your bed and stay low under the smoke. If your door is shut, feel the door with the back of your hand. Slowly open the door if no heat is felt. Always stay low until you get to the outside of your home. Always have 2 ways out of your house and a specified meeting place somewhere outside your home. Home escape plans should be drawn up and rehearsed on a regular basis. This could be the difference between life and death if caught in a fire.
Here in northern Arizona and throughout Yavapai County, people count on Orkin Pest Control. With over 100 years of combined experience, nobody knows how to protect your home or your business from harmful or annoying pests like the Orkin Man. To start service, contact your Northern Arizona Orkin Pest Control. In the Verde Valley, call 567-5100 or Orkin Pest Control in the Prescott area at 775-8772.
Move over, AZ. Arizona's move over law requires you to move over or slow down when you drive past any vehicle pulled over with flashing lights. Any vehicle means emergency responders, roadside assistance, law enforcement, highway crews, even stranded motorists. Ignore the law and you could pay a fine. Remember, every vehicle, every time. Move over, AZ.
Sponsored by ADOT in partnership with the Arizona Broadcasters Association and this station.
Body language can tell you all sorts of things. Like someone is having a stroke. Know the sudden signs. Learn fast. Face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty. Time to call 911 and get them to a hospital immediately. Learn the body language and spot a stroke fast.
And again, welcome back to the program. And today, Verde Valley Fire District Assistant Chief Jerry Dirksen talking about child drownings. And we just, even one is too many, but in August, typically Arizona statistically has more than any other month. And I was surprised to hear that. And we've chatted a little bit in the first segment about why that is. Chief and I today are both wearing purple ribbons, and these signify for annual Drowning Impact Awareness Month. Conversation starters. You see folks wearing these, we would encourage others, Chief, to wear these and start that conversation about why it's important, especially now, to have that talk.
Yeah, and you can come by the Cornville Fire Station, the one out in Verde Village, and Cottonwood has some of the ribbons as well, too. So, you know, even in your businesses, if you've got a restaurant and you want, you know, your people to wear those or have those available, you know, I've got a whole bunch of them, and it'd be nice if they didn't have any of them by the end of the month, because we were giving these out. And this is, you know, this is a wonderful time just to celebrate the lives of the children that we have right now and how they're there. And if this here can help us prevent one loss of life,
there you go.
We'll never know it.
Right.
But it'll be well worth it.
Never find out. That's the way. Let's talk about, you mentioned something to me that I'd never heard of before, and that's the secondary drowning, they call it?
Secondary drowning, yeah. That's it's a syndrome that happens, and what happens is somebody will end up in a water-related incident where they're drowned, or they are underwater and they maybe have gone unconscious, but they are in the process of drowning. They have been rescued and brought up, and somebody gave them rescue breaths, gave them CPR or something, or even they didn't go completely out, but they were in the process of drowning, and then they come to. They're embarrassed. They don't want anybody around. Here's all the fire guys. Here's all the ambulance people and everything. And they're saying, let's go to the hospital. It's like, oh, man, you know, I'm not going to the hospital.
Don't want to pay the bill. Don't want to sit there all day.
Right.
All of that stuff.
All those different things. I just, you know, I'm okay now. I'm breathing fine. I'm talking to you. I'm alert. And what sometimes happens is that water actually gets down into the lungs. And I don't know all of the details with it, but especially salt water can go and affect the air sacs that are in the lungs. And the air sacs are held open by surfactant, a fluid that's on top. And if that surfactant goes away, then those air sacs collapse. And so if they get
no breathing,
then there's no breathing. And so that doesn't necessarily happen right away. They can end up with that in there, and then 2 or 3 or 4 hours later, all of a sudden you go to check on them because that person just went through an emotional thing, went in, went down, laid back, went to sleep, and you went to check them later and they were dead. So
wow. So and that's more common than we might ever guess. And so I guess the lesson is, if you have you or your child or your grandma or anybody has any kind of episode or incident where you take in some water, and even if you get out within seconds, if you've I don't know. I keep going to the word ingested, but I don't think that's right.
No,
that's more like swallowing rather than breathing in.
And you don't know.
So inhaling water, yeah.
And so if you take in some water, but you won't know some of those. But if you have any questions, call 911 or go ahead and take them into the hospital. And that time and talking, and if that should happen, the hospital can do things that will help support that. And so can medics when they come, and they'll visit with you, they'll talk to you, and they may call the hospital and say, hey, this is what happened, talk to the doctor and everything, and the doctor can say, you know what, this person's at low risk, just have somebody watch them at home. Or they might say, let's bring them in just in case that secondary drowning might happen, and be able to save that person's life.
Err on the side of caution. Chief, I think anybody in our audience, if we say designated driver, they'll have a good idea of what we're talking about. If we say water watcher, you might be able to figure it out given our topic today, but it's a less common term, but it's kind of the same thing, isn't it?
It's very much so, and you're finding people that have pools are probably more alert to that, water watchers. But think about the rural Arizona, let's go have a picnic on the river. And now it's starting to cool down enough where picnics are going to be fun again. And go down and do that, and next thing you know, you're next to the river, and you need a water watcher, and you just has to have somebody that can focus on them. And there's some rules that they have found that make a difference. Just because somebody's assigned to it doesn't mean that they're going to be able to watch them the way that they should. And some of the things you're looking for is make sure that the person can swim,
right,
and that they know CPR. And then the other thing is start it before you start the alcohol. So don't assign the nearest drunk to be your water watcher. But make that decision early on. We're going to have a water watcher. The other thing too is limit it to 15 minutes if you can, because after 15 minutes, your ability to really watch those kids limit goes down, and it might be that they're not swimming. You're not going swimming in that river at all today. But I guarantee you, with my kids and with me as I was growing up, if I was by the river,
you bet,
and we were having a picnic, where was I going to be? Right next to that water.
Yeah, if you're going anywhere near it, you're going to be in it. They're just gonna. That's kids.
So the other thing too is that person needs to be focused on there. So whoever your watcher is a person that's watching. That person is not talking on the phone. That person is not talking to other people, and that person is not doing the typical, okay, I'm watching, I'm bored, I'm pulling out my cell phone, because this game could be really quick and easy.
Right.
They need to refrain from them, and that's why you give them just 15 minutes.
To break up that kind of monotony.
Yeah.
That
so
could
give
occur.
them 15 minutes, they're sharp, they're thinking about it.
Right.
And then know that somebody else is going to take over for the next 15 minutes, and you can rotate.
You're saying this person should just kind of maybe get a chair close to the water and just be kind of off by themselves without distractions of conversation with the other grown-ups.
Right.
And just really totally, fully dedicated for those 15 minutes watching the kids in the water, or anybody, watching everybody in the water.
You bet.
Yeah.
Take a look at a ditch or the river. When we lose a child in a ditch and we've got to find them, we're running up and down and we lose a lot of time. And I mean, they will move fast down there. A child gets in the birdie and that happens, they'll move fast. The backyard wading pool, it's just so quick. We've had incidents where they've had people outside just playing. The pool wasn't even part of it and everything, and parents slipped inside for a phone rang or just to go in to get something, maybe to prepare food, and that pool was there, and that child got there, and the next thing you know, they went out, and the child's floating in the pool.
Yeah. I think that we sometimes don't realize how much time those little distractions actually can take us. I mean, I know it can happen in 30 seconds, so any amount of time is almost too much. But when you get that little phone call, or you get that oven timer going off, or you get just on and on and on, that sometimes what you think is 20, 30 seconds is 3 or 4 minutes.
Exactly.
And in that time, tragedies can happen. We need to take another short break, so we'll do that, and we'll come back. We'll have more with Assistant Chief for the Verde Valley Fire District, Jerry Dirksen, talking child safety around water. We'll be back after this.
Having a fire escape plan is very important to keep your family safe and together in the event of a fire. When you awake to the sound of a smoke detector and smoke in your room, don't stand straight up. Carefully roll off your bed and stay low under the smoke. If your door is shut, feel the door with the back of your hand. Slowly open the door if no heat is felt. Always stay low until you get to the outside of your home. Always have 2 ways out of your house and a specified meeting place somewhere outside your home. Home escape plans should be drawn up and rehearsed on a regular basis. This could be the difference between life and death if caught in a fire.
Here in northern Arizona and throughout Yavapai County, people count on Orkin Pest Control. With over 100 years of combined experience, nobody knows how to protect your home or your business from harmful or annoying pests like the Orkin Man. To start service, contact your Northern Arizona Orkin Pest Control. In the Verde Valley, call 567-5100 or Orkin Pest Control in the Prescott area at 775-8772.
Move over, AZ. Arizona's move over law requires you to move over or slow down when you drive past any vehicle pulled over with flashing lights. Any vehicle means emergency responders, roadside assistance, law enforcement, highway crews, even stranded motorists. Ignore the law and you could pay a fine. Remember, every vehicle, every time. Move over, AZ.
Sponsored by ADA in partnership with the Arizona Broadcasters Association and this station.
Body language can tell you all sorts of things. Like someone is having a stroke. Know the sudden signs. Learn fast. Face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty. Time to call 911 and get them to a hospital immediately. Learn the body language and spot a stroke fast.
Welcome back to the program, talking about child drownings. August is a big month in our state, unfortunately, for child drownings, and Verde Valley Fire District Assistant Chief Jerry Dirksen is here. You've mentioned this a couple of times, so let's spend a moment on CPR. Everybody should know it no matter what, kids, water or no, but especially if, say, you've got a pool in the backyard or you spend a lot of time with young ones around water.
You bet.
More important than ever.
And if you have summertime and you buy a little kiddie pool, you know, if you have a toilet in your house, you should know CPR. If you've got a 5-gallon bucket, you should know CPR. Yeah. And the CPR that's really been successful right now, especially with adults, has been the continuous compression CPR. And with that, they don't do any breathing for them. Now, the studies are still going out as far as people that have drowned, but we know that the reason that their heart has stopped is because they don't have oxygen. Right. So doing that compression to stimulate that heart and being able to do some ventilations helps as well too. So make sure that you've gone to a CPR class, and if you haven't for a year, you know, find one and go back to it. And with Verde Valley Fire District, we have people that will come even to your house and teach it. If you've, you know, say, I'm just going to get my family together. We're going to have 6 of us, or we're going to have 8 of us, and we're just going to get together, just do it right there in the house. It's really brief time, 15 to 30 minutes, and it's free. You can give the station a call at 634-2578. Sure. And call them, and we'll get you set up with a class. They're doing classes regularly at different events. We've had businesses that have done it. We've actually go into the schools, and all 6th, 7th, and 8th graders in our district end up getting CPR classes. Yeah. And it's just incredible that they're learning this thing, and so learning that. Now, the other thing too is if you end up with a drowning and you're calling 911 and you don't remember, or what do I do, the dispatcher will help work you through that and help teach you while you're that person's needing CPR.
We had a case, as but you can remember, out of Sedona a few years ago, and we played that audio for a long, long time here at the station every year, where a gal helped bring a baby back, helping Dad do CPR. It was very dramatic, but had a terrific outcome, and I'll never forget that one. There's so much out there, and you can find out more. PreventDrownings.org is a good website. Phoenix Children's Hospital out of Phoenix, phoenixchildrens.com also, and just child drownings, pool safety on Google. You'll find a wealth of information. Chief, we thank you so much for coming in and sharing your expertise with us, all of these numbers, and put a purple ribbon on. If you see somebody with one, start that conversation. It's very, very important. We thank Jerry Dirksen, our guest today. It's Countywide, and we'll see you next time.
This This has been County-Wide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Listen in each Tuesday and Thursday as we tackle the hot topics and talk to the decision makers across Yavapai County. That's County-Wide with Brad Miller and Paul David each Tuesday and Thursday on this Yavapai Broadcasting station.